Hey everyone, Riddle here. Welcome to my channel, or welcome back if you're a subscriber. Today's going to be a garden video. So I'm going to start the video with a little backstory. We've been on this property for 2 years, and my goal is for it to be as off-grid as possible and as self-sustainable as possible. So, I'm looking at what I have going on right now here in regards to perennials, herbs, fruits, and I realized a couple months ago that I was missing tubers. I didn't have potatoes. So I went ahead and I got some really cool varieties of tomatoes, along with starting potatoes from skins and potatoes from the grocery store. The reason I'm doing a big variety of potatoes is that if one of them gets sick, like the great potato famine that happened, they only planted one type of potato, and when that became vulnerable and the crop was wiped out, the people starved. So in my process of looking at potatoes, not only did I, use the common potatoes and start those from organic potatoes, the skins and the potatoes that were growing from the grocery store, which is really easy to do. I also got some really cool varieties, like this French variety called RATTE, and it's supposed to have a real nutty hazelnut flavor. It's like a finger potato, and that's doing pretty well already. And then one of our friends who is from Bogota, Colombia, she was telling me that the potatoes there are just off the chart delicious, but you can't get them here. The only way you can find them is they're frozen, and they're just not the same. So I was really curious about these South American potatoes because when often crops fail in a certain part of the world, like at one point the corn was failing in America, they went to South America, to Mexico, to find strains to hybridize into our corn to save the crop. So it's good if you're looking at food security to have a nice variety of different species. And how do you do this? You do research. And so when I couldn't find the Colombian potatoes anywhere to start them from the potatoes, I went online and started researching, and I found this guy obsessed with potatoes. And of course, most people that are really smart and obsessive, he didn't have a very great personality, but he had a crazy variety of potatoes from all over the world. And a lot of them were sold out, and they were seeds, not like potato starts, like little potato seeds, but actual potato seeds, tiny little things. So they weren't cheap, but I decided to take a gamble, and I bought 2 varieties of Colombian potatoes seeds from him, and then this wild potato from the Andes. And what you're looking at here in these grow bags are about 4 months into seed to potatoes. So this is really exciting. So I put garlic. I just bought a big bag of garlic from Costco, and I broke off the bulbs and I planted them around inside the potatoes, because garlic is actually one of the few excellent companion plants to grow with potatoes. It helps to protect them from different diseases. I was watching a video, because this video is actually going to be about planting garlic today. I had mediocre success with just taking the little extra bulbs that were too small to eat from the grocery store and just pressing them into different pots and things around the property. And a few of them actually grew some really nice garlic. So then I learned that when you grow garlic, if you want larger garlic, you actually have to start out with the larger clove. So I bought a dedicated bag from Costco of organic California garlic, went through it all, pulled it all apart, kept the small pieces to eat, and planted all the large ones with these potatoes all through here as a companion plant. The video I watched, though, it's funny because you can't take the advice of one source, and you have to apply your own experience and intelligence, if you have any, related to what you're dealing with. But the one video that I watched, the woman said that you have to plant garlic completely alone, and that's not true. It actually makes a great companion plant for tomatoes. And this makes sense because if you don't have a lot of land to dedicate a raised bed or a flower bed just to garlic, it's just not practical. But if you can grow potatoes and garlic together, that's a win. So through my Lyme disease and chronic fatigue, I labored like a mofo by myself, and we have this dedicated raised bed now for our garlic and potatoes. And how I filled this was a combination of some soil that was very sandy and composty that I bought in bulk, but it's also layered with wood chips and compost from a tree that was taken down and from the forest on the edge of my property. So this is going to help to make sure that the soil is really well drained, because the one thing that both potatoes and garlic need more than anything is to be high and dry, or to be in really well-drained soil. I started collecting different types of garlic, and I'm going to write on the markers and also write directly onto my raised bed, because you always lose the markers, or you can use your markers and then take a photograph of the raised bed with your phone and then keep that in a file. Because then if you lose your markers, because the animals are going to knock them out, the kids, the dog, the wind, or they're going to get washed off, you're going to still have a record of what exactly you planted. Okay, now back to garlic. Right now I have two kinds of garlic. I got this from Etsy. And this is from Amish farms, and I have to say, amazing. They said they're called them Whoppers. Now, when I cross-reference this, there's no actual Whopper garlic out there, so maybe this is something that they created on their own, or they perfected it and renamed it. But the fact is, the bulbs are almost as large as elephant garlic. Now, there's another important thing to know. Elephant garlic actually isn't garlic. It's actually in the leek or onion family. And what's the difference? It might have the flavor and look like garlic, but it doesn't have the same medicinal benefits or the same chemical structure as garlic does. So if you're looking at buying elephant garlic to have garlic, know that. That's a really important tip. So I have my Amish Farm Whoppers garlic bulbs, and I have some Korean garlic. Now, why is it in this dirty water? One of the tricks, of course, you get the bulb, and you have to be careful because they notoriously mold from the inside, and also they've been dried for a really long time. So before you plant them, you need to wake them up. You need to rehydrate them. So what we have here, and I learned this online, is about a tablespoon of baking soda, which helps to kill some of the mold and viruses and other ickies that are in the bulbs, along with some liquid fertilizer. I used a fish seaweed fertilizer, about a tablespoon. You don't need a lot because it's so concentrated. And they said put the bulbs in for about 3 hours minimum, but I left them in overnight. It just kind of makes sense to me. I don't think scientifically a bulb can take in that much, hydrate itself, or take in that much water in just 3 hours. So I would suggest get them in your water and just leave them in overnight and come back to it in the morning. And of course, don't throw this water out. I would, pour this into your plants, or pour it right back into the flower bed. So now that's where I'm at right now. I'm going to space these out in nice rows. I'm going to label them and get them into my flower bed. And I don't think there's any reason for me to show you how to do that because that's very self-explanatory. And then I'm going to start migrating some of my potatoes into the raised bed. When the potatoes get really long and gangly, the plants you saw kind of got long and gangly, and they'll start to flower. You don't want them to flower unless you're trying to collect seeds. Now, that might be smart for me to let those do seeds, but it's so late in the season, I'm not sure if we'll have time for that. That being said, you usually want to pinch the flowers off of them. But better yet, you can take that potato cutting down 4 to 6 inches at one of the nodes, cut it, put it in some rooting powder, shove that down into your soil. Now you have to make sure the soil is well hydrated and that you keep that hydrated. And then what's going to happen is that cutting from that potato is going to root and make a bunch of new potatoes for you. Because potatoes are notorious, they have this underground root system, but the actual plant can get a couple feet long, and it's kind of vining. It's in the same family. It's in the nightshade family as a tomato, so it grows just like a tomato vine does. And there's no use in trellising it or anything because you're not going to get any fruit from the plant, of course. It's all happening in the tubers. So what I do is I make sure to keep them at a length in the pot, that there's plenty of leaves, that they're still doing photosynthesis for the potatoes, but at the same time, they're not wasting a bunch of energy on this big gangly plant, because I can keep cutting those plants and increasing my potato harvest. Okay, so that's it. This is a lot shorter video than I thought it was going to be. I forgot to bring my marker out. And that's the one thing, gardening is not a hobby. People think it's this thing that just anyone can do. And I just laugh, and this is going to sound a little arrogant, but that's okay. I'm going to own this because I've put the years into learning how to do this and to do this properly. But I tell people, gardening is not a hobby. It's a discipline. And it's funny because people will see what I do and they're so ignorant, arrogant. It inspires them, but then they will attempt it and they'll just have a huge fail because they don't realize that the amount of consistency and care and awareness and research it takes to grow things successfully. Because gardening is amazing for not just the body, but the brain. I mean, I am not one of those fat American men, and it's because of my property in the gardening. I do things the hard way, I do the physical labor, and it keeps me in shape. And then, of course, I'm eating the food that I'm growing, which is organic and actually alive. And I have this theory. My theory is, and I've had this theory for decades, my theory is that anyone can eat fresh food. I mean, I know it's kind of a luxury, and fresh organic food is a luxury, but fresh organic food is still dead food. What do I mean by dead food? I mean that it's been harvested and shipped and it's been put under lights. And so, yes, you're going to get some nutritional benefits from it. You're going to get the fiber, and it's definitely better than processed food. But what is the one type of nutrition and what is the one type of food that even billionaires often do not have access to? Living food. And that has always been my belief that, we were designed to walk all day and continually pick things and eat them. And when you eat something, fresh food, you're eating like the living cells. Life is still moving through that. And when you eat life, you are life. So I have this principle because I have applied myself and made having living quality organic food a priority in my life. It's a form of self-care that when I am ready to eat, when I cut a vegetable, I try to eat it within the first half hour to hour after I cut it. And then I feel like I'm actually eating life versus just vegetation. Does that make sense? I think so. And if you met me out on the street, you'd probably never guess that I'm almost 60 years old. And when I shave my white off, yeah, so it's worked for me. It's just, it's basic. It's really basic. So take care of yourselves, take care of each other. I hope this video all made sense. I hope it inspires you. But remember, it's not easy. Nothing good in life is easy. And that's where you build character instead of being a character. You know, we live in this society, and I think reality TV is the worst thing that ever happened to society, because it taught generations of people that being a character was more important than having character. And the only way you have character is by paying your dues and learning the actual way, through time, through an investment of effort, and failure. No one who's ever been incredibly successful in human history has not experienced failure in that process of mastering whatever it was that they were going to accomplish. And it's the same thing with gardening. So if you plant something or you start a project and it fails, don't take it personally. Learn from it and figure out, what did I do wrong? I was doing a lot of things wrong with this garlic. Even though I wasn't like fully applied, you know, there was a lot of things I just thought, oh, I'm just going to take these garlic cloves and put them out with the other vegetables, you know, in a really moist soil and blah, 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 blah. Same with the potatoes. But then when I took the time to do multiple research, not just research from one source, I figured out everything that I was doing wrong. And now this is my first attempt at doing it properly. You got to do things properly. And to do things properly, it takes effort. And putting this raised bed together through my chronic fatigue from my Lyme disease, this project, you know, between ordering the bulbs, doing the research, getting the raised bed put together, hauling all of the dirt in a cart in stages from a giant pile about an acre out and over there. You know, this was it was an investment of time, but the payoff is going to be the medicine and the pride that keeps me vital. Take care of yourselves, take care of each other. I believe how we treat each other out on the streets is our ultimate reality. If you like my quick money saving tips, garden wisdom, art, home improvements, and occasional magic, please share, like, and subscribe. It helps. Bye.